Hello everyone and welcome to this Kobolds and Catacombs card review. We're going to be doing the neutrals now. I have Zaymok back with me after a long break and Pandemonia. So we're going to be diving right into these neutrals. So we're going to be starting with the legendaries. We're going to be rating them on a scale 1 to 5. Basically the way the scale works is it's a scale of playability essentially. 1 is like a trash or a meme card, like Magma Rager. 2 is a niche card, something like Cold Light Oracle, perhaps, which sees play in certain decks but is bad in most decks. Then we have 3, which is like your average cards. So they like maybe see some future play, but they're not really viable right now. So like Prophet Valen was back in the day, before now it was seeing play in your Razakis priests. And then 4 are just like good cards. They're pretty solid. Maybe they'll go in and out of decks, but they're not going to be staples in every deck, and they're not going to define the meta in the way that cards that are like our 5 ranked cards, which are meta defining cards. So these are like your bone mares and your patches, the cards which, when you're building a deck, you're like, okay, I have to, I can't play this card because it just dies to patches or something like that. So that's basically going to be our ranking scale. Okay, and we're going to start with the legendaries. The first card we're going to be talking about is Master Oakheart. So Master Oakheart is a 9 mana 5/5 legendary minion, and it has Battle Cry, Recruit a 1, 2, and 3 attack minion. So the way Recruit works is Recruit brings a minion from your deck onto the battlefield. So much like the Yashaj effect, it will actually bring it out. No battle cries will count, obviously, and it's not a copy. It is that exact minion. So, Master Oakheart, let's start with you, Zaymok. What are your thoughts?
Actually, can you start with Pandemonia? Sorry, I just wanna quickly pull up the minions. But
Sure, sure, sure.
sorry, Pandemonia. Sorry about this.
Yeah, no worries. Okay, so Pandemonia, thoughts, Master Oakheart.
So immediately the first thing that comes to mind is obviously it's very expensive, but obviously the very specific nature, or relatively specific nature of the minions it summons. Immediately, you start thinking of what combos.
Mm,
I think what combos potentially can make this card insane. Turn 9 you play this, you get a one attack, a 2 attack, a 3 attack, and it creates some crazy synergy that lets you get really ahead or win the game.
yeah.
And so that's obviously the first thought, and then it's a case of, okay, which minions, and then you've got to kind of think through each class. Okay, one attack minions, which one attack minions are there, and
So,
like,
okay, so let's start
You can
with
actually
like,
search
yeah,
in your collection, by the way.
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
But I've already kind of looked at this. There's 2 classes that stand out for me. 2 decks that I built uh, in the Warlock and the Druid reviews that both had most Master Oakheart in. Um, I think that uh, it's neither of those decks really stood out to me as particularly amazing. But some of the things you can pull are Hadronox in Druid. That's relatively powerful. You can pull Ixalit, the new legendary as well. That is the 2 attack, so you can pull Ixalit into Hadronox, and I think, well, actually no, it won't give you 2 Hadronoxes, but uh, yeah, which is ultimately why I actually kind of abandoned that idea of that deck. But that is something you can do. You can also pull Drakari Enchanter, I think it's called, the 3 mana 1/5 that makes your end of turn effects count twice. So if you can find some end of turn effects with 2 and 3, it can work. And then in Warlock, there's Void Lord, the new 9 mana 3/9 that has Death Rattle that gives you 3 Void Walkers basically. And you can also play Tar Lurker, which is essentially a 1/7. So it'll be pulled as your 1 attack minion, probably one of the best 1 attack minions you can get. And then there's also like the Homunculus, the new Volga Homunculus that can count as your 2 attack minion. So in the Warlock in particular, you can pull a lot of taunt value.
Jiraxis.
Yeah, Jiraxis, I thought about it as well. You can pull it, which isn't so bad because it's obviously a lot of stats. But honestly, pulling Void Lord still seems much better than pulling Jiraxis to me.
And also, like, Lakari Falhound isn't even that bad. It's not as good as
Yes.
Void Lord. But these are like the thing about these cards is they're all weird cards, and how do you create a deck that fits these cards in them?
Yeah. So
Um,
you could theoretically, now we're talking silly scenarios right now, but theoretically, you can pull Drakari Enchanter and Dragon Hatcher, which is another new card we're going to get to, which recruits a dragon at the end of turn. Theoretically, you could pull those two and then pull 2 dragons at the end of your turn, but no.
No.
I don't want to put those other 2 cards in my deck, so that's the big problem I have with that.
And then part of the trick is also then is, besides picking the ones you want, it's then deciding which ones not to run because they clash. So the problem is, you might end up running some random 4-drop that has an attack of 3, and all of a sudden now you got to decide, is it worth cutting to get that synergy?
So there's like 2 issues that I want to bring up with this card. Well, 3 if you include the one that Dale just mentioned, that Pandemonium just mentioned. So it's 3 then. The first one would be that issue of you have to kind of dilute which cards you actually want to put in your deck. So you're cutting out a lot of the good cards just to fit in this niche kind of like I want to say combo-y thing, which isn't really necessary. So that kind of feeds on into the second thing is, why would you play a 9-mana 5/5 just to summon something that on its own is really powerful already? So the best card that I could see, just very quickly browsing through the cards, is probably Alakir, because you play this, and then Alakir has an immediate effect because it has charge, and it's got Windfree and Divine Shield. It's like a really strong pull. 9-mana 5/5, but then you're limiting yourself to that being the only 3-attack minion. There are a ton of other good 3-attack minions that you might want to include in Shaman. For example, the Jinyu Wind Speaker, or was it Water Speaker? One of those two. The one that restores 6 health to your hero. That's a really good card. And the 1-drop and the 1-attack minion and the 2-attack minion often aren't going to actually do anything. They're going to be kind of lesser things, or the lesser effect. Obviously, the 3-attack minion, or in most cases, the 3-attack minion will have the biggest impact, 2-attack lesser and 1-attack the least, unless you're trying to pull off a very niche combo. And so in the end, you're just playing a 9-mana 5/5 to summon a 3-attack minion. And I just think the drawbacks of like cutting other 3-attack minions, and also the fact that you have to draw this before that is just too big of a drawback. I don't think the card's very good. I'd give it a 2-star because there's like a niche meta where it sees play in like maybe very specific combo decks.
Yeah, I totally agree with the rating. I would also definitely give it a 2. I think that you have to find a deck where there's a couple options you can pull. You're not looking to pull like some game-ending combo, but you're just looking to pull a lot of value. Like the Warlock deck I built, I think, is probably the best use, I think, of Master Okart, where you have the couple options. But even there, the biggest problem was with Defile, right? Now, what do I do with Defile? So I sat there and looked through all the other spell damage options because I couldn't play Tainted Zealots and Bloodmage Thalnos anymore because now they mess up Master Okart and the Defile. And ultimately, I just played Thalnos. I just put Thalnos in the deck still. Because worst case scenario, you pull 2 good things in a Thalnos. Like, fine, the Thalnos cycles, it still has some use. Like, yeah, it is difficult to build where you can't have any 1-attack, 2-attack, or 3-attack minions, basically. You have to play something where you just have spells or some other kind of options early on.
Yeah, I mean, there's not much more I can say. So I think I'll probably also give it a 2. Probably lean towards 1 if, for example, there are no successful combo deck, because it's basically unplayable if there is no, there is no synergy, of course.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so Marin the Fox, everyone has pretty much already had a chance to play with, so
I've never played it.
Okay, well, most people that have been playing Hearthstone recently have had a chance to play with Marin the Fox, so we're gonna move on from that without really.
Is it good? Sorry, I'm being genuine. Okay. I just want to know, is it good?
No, I think I'd say it's a 2 at best. Like, it maybe was okay in Control Warlock, from what I saw, but overall, I'd say no.
Okay, so it just all played because it was new and people wanted to.
Yeah.
Because I did see streamers playing it a lot.
Yeah, it was a singular new card that came out, so obviously people were hyped. Yeah. So next we have King Togwaggle. This is an 8-mana 5/5 legendary minion. It has Battle Cry, swap decks with your opponent, and give them a ransom spell to swap back. Now the ransom spell is a 5-mana spell that basically just swaps the decks back.
It is so bad. It's a 0 for me.
I mean, I'm gonna give it a 1 because I don't have 0 on my scale, but it is entirely it is 100% a 1 because it is 100% a meme.
Yeah.
That's how we defined 1 as trash or meme, and this is a trash meme.
Waggle. Yeah.
No, I think it's much better than you guys are giving it credit for.
Oh boy.
Oh no.
I think
No.
this
Okay,
could just be
let's hear it,
having
let's
like
hear it.
master.
Let's
No,
hear
no,
it,
I
but
just
quickly.
think. Okay, it's 5 mana, so it takes up like an entire turn to get it back. Okay, you play this, so you remove a turn for yourself, I guess. Or maybe I just proved myself wrong.
Yeah, so
I guess you take a turn to block a turn.
but then
But if
the
you
turn you're
actually,
blocking it, and the problem is they get to draw one of your cards and then they swap decks before you'd even draw one of their cards. So it's not like you even take any of their cards away from them. Because
So
you have to play King Togwa and then draw
uh,
cards to take any of their cards because you don't swap hands, it's only the decks.
yeah,
So
that's
can I
true.
really tell you what the meme video is going to consist of? King Togwaggle, your opponent then plays your ultimate infestation.
To kill the King
like,
Togwa.
I'm just telling you that this is the memes I foresee already. You know?
Oh lord.
Okay, sorry, that's all one, I guess.
I mean, okay, maybe in Ramp Druid, if you could play King Togwaggle and they didn't have 5 mana yet. But like, what? I'd do
Well, you could do. You could
You
play
could do
King
better things.
King Togwaggle and then break the Druid weapon.
Yeah, if you had your
Uh,
no, no. We're not
No,
entertaining that.
guys,
We will talk
just
about a
listen.
much more interesting card now, which is the Darkness. This is a 4 mana 2020 legendary minion. Yep. But it starts dormant, so very much like Sherazin basically. And it has a battle cry that shuffles 3 candles into your opponent's deck. And when drawn, it awakens the darkness. So when all the candles are snuffed out, the darkness awakens. So,
I have a question.
yes.
If I play, okay, let's just say if I play this and then Shadow Step it and then play it again, do you think all the candles that exist in the deck will be able to proc it, or will it be the 3 specific candles?
Can't shadow step it. Can't
You
interact
can't
with
shadow
it.
step it because it doesn't count as a minion on the
Okay,
board. It starts
okay.
dormant.
You get what I was trying to say though. If you play this, if you play 2 of them,
If you play it
will
and
the
it gets bounced, and then you play it again, the problem is, in order for it to ever be alive, all 3 candles have to be used up. So it's impossible to have a situation where there's 6 candles in the deck unless you can double your battle cry effects. So we're talking
yeah.
Brand,
There's ways to do it.
Darkness.
I'm just curious. It's not really important. I'm just curious. Do you think like?
I think it would be when you've drawn, when they've 3 candles specifically. I think that's how
Oh,
it'll
Yeah,
work.
the
but
3
something like
candles
the wording.
specifically to
No,
your
no,
minion, not
any
yeah.
3 candles, I think.
Oh, any
is
3.
how it would
Okay.
work.
Okay.
I have
It's
no
the same
idea,
card
but
name.
maybe Brand Darkness is a thing.
So maybe I should just start, I guess. Because I'm
Well,
already talking.
Okay,
Yeah.
one point. The one point that is important to note about this is Razaka's Priest, is that it puts in multiple copies of a
Yeah.
card into your opponent's deck, denies Raza, and specifically denies it on your turn 4 into their turn 5, which is...
And it
yeah,
also blocks. Like it blocks not just the fact that it blocks Raza, but like they can't just cycle to get rid of it because then they suddenly have to deal with this 2020 on board. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they can't just go off with a Gadgetan or like just endlessly draw with like I don't know an Acolyte and a Wild Pyro. So that's a very valid point. I also think I mean apart from that, which is kind of memey in a way. I mean sure it's a legit counter, but is that it's really difficult because you're relying on your opponent drawing like Ambush was the card for Rogue I think.
Yeah, Beneath the Grounds, which put ambush
Beneath the
on
Ground,
your
sorry,
deck.
yeah, which relied on your opponent drawing them, and the issue is just like your opponent doesn't necessarily have draw cards, and if you're paying mana to do something that may or may not work, you're often just wasting mana, and there are
Yeah.
better ways to use that mana. So if I'm paying 4 mana now to maybe get like a 10% chance to win the game at a much later point, and even then they could just remove the minion,
Exactly.
it's probably not worth it. I don't think the card's very good outside of the niche, like.
I completely agree. The one thing that is nice is when usually it will get awakened in their turn, so it can attack immediately in your turn. But that also means they get the first pop at removing it.
Exactly. Yeah,
So
they get the first.
I mean,
and
you
it's
play
like
you play it against Razaka's Priest, for instance. They're just gonna wait for they're gonna hold their death, hold their Raza or their Shadow Reaper until the darkness
Yeah.
is
And as soon as they draw it,
resurrected, and then they're gonna.
the only way to do it is like you proc it with like Coldvat Oracle, and I think
Yeah.
even then, once it comes alive, you won't even be able to attack with it, because
Yes.
it's the same with Sherazin. Once Sherazin pops up,
Yes.
you can't actually attack with it that turn. You have to wait until it's sat on the board for a full turn.
Yeah, until it's basically gone through your start of turn phase.
No, so even if it opens on their turn,
No,
even
no.
if it opens on their turn,
I think
Oh,
if
well,
it
it's-
opens on their turn, you'll be able to attack with it.
Oh, yeah,
Sherazin
sorry, I
never
think I'm
ever
freezing.
opens on your turn, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
On
yeah.
your
Sorry.
opponent's turn, I mean. Yeah.
Well, that'll be interesting. That'll be interesting because I'm actually not
Well,
sure.
I think it will, because the definition of summoning sickness is being in play since the beginning of your turn.
Is it?
Like that's
Yeah.
what is summoning
I mean-
sickness is defined as, is the minion needs to have been in play. So even if it comes into your opponent's turn, it's still been in play since the beginning of your turn.
Yeah, I just know in Magic that's definitely how it works. I'm never
I
100%
mean-
sure if I'm confusing Magic rules and Hearthstone rules, quite
I'm
honestly.
sure that's also in Hearthstone as well. But okay,
Yeah.
I think we should move on.
Yeah. I think I'm gonna give it a 2 rating. I think it could be particularly a niche card, but most of the time it's gonna be pretty bad.
I'm gonna
As
give it a
Zemo said,
1.
you know, paying 4 mana and doing nothing.
Yeah.
Feels
Kinda
bad, man.
I want to give it a 2, lean towards 3, but I will give it a 2 because also, I want
Jeez.
this.
I'm like
part
2
to be-
leaning 1. I'm not.
I'm just flat out 1. I'm just flat out 1.
Okay.
I want this to be a card. It's probably not, but I want it.
I just think
I
it's too
believe.
easy to kill even when it
Yeah.
like actually I think it's just
So-
a 1. I don't even think it's worth making the deck to make it work. It's literally you play it if it's the only way to stop Razor Priest, and even then I don't think it really stops them. Like they can just
Yeah.
bide their time. Yeah. Anyway, so moving on. Next we have Zola the Gorgon. Which is a 3 mana 2/2 legendary minion, and it has battle cry. Choose a friendly minion, add a golden copy of it to your hand. So this can be pretty good if you can get really good value minions with it. But what are you trying to hit with Zola, especially considering it's a 3 mana 2/2?
Yeah,
Bone Mare?
like, it's
Lol.
probably, but it's still that case of what it doesn't. It's not like it's not like Shadowcaster, which puts a 1/1 copy of it.
Yeah.
So the problem is you still have to pay full cost to replay it. So if it's something really high value, you still have to then invest the mana. I mean, you kind of are. It kind of is draw card, but it's a very situational draw card a lot of the times.
This is the kind of card that, like, I mean, it's impossible. Well, I mean, it's possible in Wild. It's kind of like you want to play this on something like Sylvanas, where it's a high value minion. You can play it, and and there's a relatively high chance it survives to the next turn, and you'd be more than happy playing a second copy of it if you could. I'm thinking cards like Tyrion, Sylvanas, cards that stick. Like I mentioned Sylvanas initially, even though it's not relevant, but it's just it gets across my point quite nicely. I think is where it's a card where it's like awkward for your opponent to deal with. Sylvanas often takes, or would have taken time for your opponents to deal with, and it might not be an immediate option to deal with. Tyrion is a similar thing. It's got Divine Shield and that relatively high health total of 6 health. If you just slam Tyrion down on an empty board, there's a high chance it survives till the next turn. Zola the Golden can be good in situations like that. I definitely think it's not a terrible card. It's probably, in my opinion, the best legend out of the legends in this set. I mean, I'm neutral legends.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that doesn't unfortunately is not saying much, to be very honest.
Yeah.
Like it's not saying much
I mean,
considering you look at the rest.
I kind of
It's
think
probably
it's a
competing with Marin.
I kind of think it's a 2, maybe a 3. So maybe
Yeah.
like I would probably say I can agree that it's probably about the best of them, but that's not scoring very high on our scale.
It can go in decks like Razor Priest though.
Yeah, it can.
Like,
Yeah,
I
that's
don't know
true.
how tight that deck list is, but I'm pretty sure it can go in there. Like you got cards like Kazakas. You're gonna have cards like that. Like there's gonna be a lot of cards that you're gonna be playing one of that you'd be happy to play 2 of.
Yeah,
And
that's
this
true.
allows you to do that anyway.
That's true. Maybe it is like a 3.
You-
Yeah, okay. I
You
wouldn't.
don't need to play. I don't want. Sorry. Yeah.
I wouldn't be. I wouldn't disagree with giving it like a 3 for ranked.
Yeah. I want to give it a 3. It's just like I don't want to say that you play this in a combo deck and you're like, okay, my combo relies on me playing this card. Then I'm gonna Zola it, and then I'm gonna play this card again. Zola for me is more like Zola's in the deck, and there are X amount of targets that I can play it on, and I'm happy if it hits any of those, and there's a high chance that it can hit any of those at any point in the game because there's no ways my opponent can play on all of that.
Yeah.
And so it's more
Okay.
like additional value for me.
The
So
real question, though, right, is a lot of the times you copying something most likely with a death rattle, correct? A lot of the times for the
no, it
value.
can be a battle cry as well.
Because I was gonna say a lot of the times is
Could be
like Youthful Brewmaster does similar things like some of the times.
No.
So
no.
like is this
Youthful
Mm.
Brewmaster doesn't do anything
No,
similar
Youthful
to Death
Brewmaster is
Rattle.
very different. Youthful Brewmaster is very different. It's like, imagine me playing, okay, I'm just going to use this because I think this is a good example. The 7 mana 6/6 that shoots like for 5 damage, I think it's an elemental of
Blaze
sorts.
Caller.
Blaze Caller. You play Blaze Caller and then you use for Brewmaster on it. You've got a 3/2 on board. You play Blaze Caller and you play Zola on it. You've got seven stats on board.
Yeah,
Like,
okay, I suppose, yeah, it's got a lot more utility.
I'm gonna give this a 3.
Yeah, and I mean the other deck obviously is Quest Rogue that this can work in. To give you the extra quest copies. So I think it could actually be a 3. Yeah, I think a 3 is at least the bare minimum we can give it actually. In the quest rogue, it might be pretty decent. But I agree, 100% agree with you, Zemok. It's all about like having lots of targets for it, because if it's a combo, well, I'd just rather play Faceless Manipulator, quite frankly.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
I like the utility.
Yeah. Okay, so moving on to Dragon Hatcher. Dragon Hatcher is a 9 mana 2/4 that we briefly mentioned earlier, and it is an epic, and it's at the end of your turn, recruit a dragon. So this is a 1 for me. There are no dragons that I would rather just not put in my deck and play rather than playing Dragon Hatcher. That's as simple as it goes for me.
Yep, 1 for me as well. Same reason, you know.
The card is terrible.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's just so bad. I mean,
and it doesn't even pull Sleeping Dragon, because Sleepy Dragon isn't a dragon.
No, Sleepy Dragon is a dragon.
Not a dragon.
No, it is
I'm
a dragon.
sure it is a dragon.
It is a dragon.
Oh, on the site that I saw it, it's not a dragon.
No, it must be a
That was a
dragon.
mistake. It is definitely a dragon.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah,
I was
I
so
think
confused.
we can move
So
on.
bad. Yeah,
Yeah,
next one.
So yeah, that's the one. Grand Archivist. This is an 8 mana 4/7 epic minion. At the end of your turn, cast a spell from your deck. Targets chosen randomly. So it's a random spell from your deck with random targets. So the obvious point here is that you need to set up for stuff like Flame Strike, stuff that is already one-sided in its nature. You know, cards like Sprint, like cards that can't negatively target you, and then your whole deck has to not contain any of those cards. And the other thing is it actually uses the card from your deck, which can be a good or a bad thing depending on the situation. You know, in a control mirror, you might not want to just be casting random flame strikes, but you also might want to cast them so you don't draw them. So yeah, I'm not sold on Grand Archivist.
Is it a copy or is it copy?
It's the card.
It removes the copy. It removes it from your deck.
Bad, right?
Yeah, I think it's pretty. I mean, stats are really bad, but also like most classes, the problem is a lot of there's quite a lot. A lot of classes have, like, let's say, direct damage or burn or removal that doesn't specifically say enemy minion or enemy target. So there's always the risk that you pull a like Servant of Yogg-Saron, where you play this for 8 mana and it kills itself.
Yeah.
I mean,
obviously
that
feels
seems
terrible.
unlikely, but I know what you mean.
Sure.
No. What I'm saying is that's 7 power. No, but Dale's point is 100%.
Yes.
Sorry, Pandemonia's point is 100% valid.
Yes.
I
mean, it could. For example, you're playing this in Mage, it pulls Polymorph and polymorphs itself. You paid 8 mana and lost a big resource in a polymorph.
It fireballs itself. You have 8 mana for 4/1.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give it a 1.
Yeah, that's a 1.
Yeah, I think it's a 1. Yeah, please.
Okay, so now is actually a card that I think is quite interesting, and a card I've really been struggling to rate and kind of figure out as I've been going through it in terms of like creating decks. No, this is Corridor Creeper. It's a 7 mana 5/5 beast. It's an epic and it costs 1 less whenever a minion dies while this is in your hand. So that's a permanent reduction, first of all, like a thing from below type vibe, but it has to be in your hand whilst that reduction's happening. So if you don't have to like combo, let's say, Twisting Nether plus play this, like with forget the dragon's name, the 6/4 dragon.
Volcanic Dragon.
Volcanic Drake. Yeah, that one.
Or Volcanic Drake.
Yeah, Volcanic Drake.
Volcanic Dragon.
Yeah, Corridor Creeper. I'm struggling to see whether this would ever really see play in a deck, and certainly for one, whether you'd ever play it over Bone Man.
No, it won't. It won't see play.
Yeah, it's an interesting design.
I'm not going to give any explanation. I'm just going to say it won't see play.
I mean, is there any place ever like mid-range hunter?
I don't know about mid-range hunter. Like, it needs to be a deck where you can
trading
afford to
quite
keep
often,
this in your hand, and then you can like do something that swings you the board and play it at the same time, right? So we're talking like Flame Strike, Twisting Nether. I still feel like you need to do something like that in the same turn.
What kind of card do you want to draw early and then not play for a long time?
Well, that's the problem with like the Rubian Prophet as well, right? I mean, it's a similar sort of permanent.
This is like it's in a way it's similar to Sea Giant. Like, it can be very small, but the thing is, Sea Giant has like
a bigger
more
upside with a bigger
applications
body.
sooner.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, because
And
Sea
this,
Giant you can top deck and it's good. You can't top deck this and it's good.
you can go the first
Well,
like 4 turns of a game and 3 minions can die, and then you've got like a 4-mana 5/5 on
exactly.
turn 5,
I-
and that's
which is
bad.
like, yeah.
On curve, it's almost
it's like-
never good.
Exactly.
What?
It seems it's like bad stats. Like a 5. If it was a 7/7, okay, no, then it would be OP. If it was a 6/6, it would be like maybe close. 5/5 is just bad. Like the stats are going to be bad by the time you play this. It's unlikely you play this before turn 4. And part of the reason with that is if this is in your hand, there's less chance of you having early drops.
Yeah, you'd
So
Yeah.
there's less chance of minions dying early, and you have to have minions early for your opponent's minions to die as well, unless you've got spells. Like it just goes too deep. The tree branches go way too deep for this to actually work for me. I'm gonna give this a 1 as well. I think it's just not good.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd agree. Like, the best case scenario for Corridor Creeper is Patches, right? Like, Patches is the single minion that encourages early trading the most, but you still have to have this in your hand then, and that doesn't feel good at all. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think it's a 3 though. Like, I do think that at some point in the future there might be some use for it, in the kind of like single turn tempo swings that I'm talking about. But I don't really think it's a case where you can put it in your hand. Or like, you can really afford to ever hold it in your hand and then get value from it.
That's the issue. Is it has to be in your hand. If it was in your deck, it would be a very different story.
Yeah.
Because then
Exactly.
it'd be like a late game, like just easy 5/5. You know, like a thing from below effect. But
Yeah,
because it has to be in
like
your hand, it takes up
an
a slot.
ultimate
and it's just-
infestation and play it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's not good.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I'm not sold on it.
I
But
definitely agree, but I'm giving it a 3.
No, I agree, but I do think it has like some future potential. Like that's the only reason I'm saying I'm giving it a 3.
Pandemonia?
Pandemonia?
Yeah, I think for me, like you mentioned, I think it's 2. Because also for me, it's mainly based also on the Ruby and Prophet. Almost never saw any play with a similar. I mean, and that was even guaranteed reduction, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there you was literally reducing 1 each turn, and I mean that was a 6-mana 4/4, the 7-mana 5/5, so it scales
It's like the same
similarly.
thing.
I think
Yeah,
Corridor
and so
Creeper
I'm not
though,
completely sold.
you can get better than you can get 2 immediate, right? Let's say
Yeah.
you draw it, you trade minions, you get 2 immediate reduction. So I think it's better than the Ruby and Prophet, but I still don't think it's good. Certainly not
Yeah.
now, at least. So yeah, okay. Moving on, we have Spiteful Summoner. This is a 6-mana 4/4. It is an epic minion and it reads Battle Cry. Reveal a spell from your deck. Summon a random minion with the same cost. So Joust for spells. No, actually no, nothing like Joust for spells. Never mind. But revealing a spell from your deck, and this is one of the kind of cards that seem to indicate that you want to build decks with high cost spells. But how good is really summoning a random minion of that cost? Maybe Evolve Shaman. You could play this into Evolve. But the problem
Yeah,
is
you can
then
play this and then summon a 1-drop.
yeah, though that's the problem, right? So you have to put Evolve in your deck. So now all of a sudden, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna
There's
do for
no-
expensive spells in Shaman? No.
There is no deck that plays big spells and does not play small spells. Twisting Nether, and then you've got Defile. Pyroblast, and you've got Frostbolt. Ultimate Infestation,
Well,
and you've
actually,
got Wild Growth.
I mean,
Then 2-drop is not the worst though, to be honest though. Like
Okay,
it's okay. It's probably average.
It's 6 mana for a 6/5.
so I think for Mage, Frostbolt is not the issue. Primordial Glyph is the issue.
Sure. Like,
I get your point. Yeah,
Like-
Okay, 6 mana for a
but you-
6/6.
you can play just 2. No, nobody pays 6 mana for a 6/6. No, nobody plays any cards that are 6.
yeah,
mana
even
for
if,
a 6.
and you're being nice there, because it could.
On
Sorry,
average,
no,
though,
you're right.
2-drop
You're
is
right, you're right. But
2/3,
it doesn't
to
matter.
be
But it
honest.
doesn't. Other way, it's
No,
bad. Other way.
I'm not. I don't believe on average that is necessarily anymore. Like they've been printing a lot
But
of
it's
really
6
bad 2-drops.
Look, even if it's 6 mana for a 6/7, it's still bad.
Yeah,
I would rather play a 6. I would rather play a 6-drop that either I would rather play Boulderfist Ogre because it's always a 6 mana 6/7, and it won't be a random Doomsday every now and then that loses me a game.
What? You don't want a
Or
high roll?
no, I don't. Please. Or I would just play a 6-drop with a Battle Cry that's just better than this because this Battle Cry is. I mean,
I don't know. It's like okay, I mean, obviously you're gonna have some small chance of hitting the 2-drop where that's the bare minimum. But I mean, anything over 3-4 drop, I don't know, you're getting worth. You're getting, 7 mana,
Value.
6 mana. Yeah, value wise. So so what my point is that even the super low roll of hitting a 2 mana spell is still like, it's not good, but it's not horrifically bad getting 6 mana for a 6/7, right?
Yeah, look.
So my point is anything above that has potential to be quite strong.
It works in Paladin, doesn't it?
No. I think no. It works better in Mage, but your average low roll is going to be 3-cost spell because of secrets rather than anything else. But I do agree with Pandemonia in the sense that you can't really look at it and compare it to like Boulder Fist Ogre as, a 6/7 on the low roll option, because the high roll option or like the average roll is what you'd really need to consider. And I do think it causes you to build your deck in a really weird way. I think that maybe in the future, once Ice Block Growth gets Hall of Famed, which we're kind of all expecting it to be, then maybe you don't play secrets in your slower mages, and this can find a way. Because mage is kind of the only class I can see, but then Firelands Portal's rotating out, so we need some other big spells to play. Overall, though, like for now, I pretty much think it's just a 1.
I'm going to go against the Gradient. I'm going to give it a 3. I think it's a lot better than I think you guys think it is. And so, I mean, whether it will find a deck, but I think definitely going forward, I think this is a card to keep an eye on. I really think it's not that bad.
Zamok?
I mean, I can give it a 2. I can, but like, I just don't see it. I just don't see it. I don't like summoning random minions. Something that you also need to take into account is battle cries and like battle cries, right? Battle cries are so big, and if you pull a minion with a battle cry, even like a 6-drop with a battle cry, often the stats are just terrible. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the counter is just like, oh well, you can draw a death rattle, but it's just something that like, and this is too much of a tangent to get too into, but like, when you're playing, if you want to maximize your win rate, you want to reduce variance as much as possible. And this is a card that has a lot of variance. And variance like this, where it isn't controlled variance, even like you could say Primordial Glyph is variance, but it's very controlled variance.
Yeah,
whereas this kind of variance, the variance is huge. And unless you build your deck in a very weird, specific way, that variance is there, and it can cause you to lose a lot of games or lower your win percentage in a lot of games. So I'm going to give it a 2, leaning on a 1, but it'll be a 2. I think it might even be Paladin.
I think the one
if
thing
there's
that,
like a slope.
the one thing that like people will consider with those kind of random minion effects, everyone's pretty used to Evolve, right? Like Doppelgangster Evolve. But the big difference between this and Doppelgangster Evolve is you get one roll, you get one shot, one opportunity at your high roll. Whereas Doppelgangster Evolve, you're getting 3 opportunities, and that's the clutch like factor that's made Doppelgangster Evolve like consistent enough to actually see play versus something like this. Yeah. So that's kind of why I really don't like Spiteful Summoner. So, okay, moving on, we have Carnivorous Cube. This is a 5-mana 4/6 epic minion with Battle Cry, destroy a friendly minion, Death Rattle, summon 2 copies of it. I have yet to be able to find anything I particularly like for this. I mean, the obvious thing is to kill your own Death Rattles and get lots of Death Rattle value, but
just feels like such a negative tempo play.
Yeah.
Like, even if it's damaged, like even that's the best case scenario. That feels so situational, to want to destroy, whatever big minion it was that let's say was damaged, and then you replace it basically with a 5-mana 4/6. I don't know. It feels a bit too combo wombo-y. Okay. For me, I put it as a 1. I think it's like a meme basically.
I figured out the best target for it: Deathwing Dragonlord. Because it then summons your dragons on the board, and then when your board, when this thing dies, you get 2 more Deathwing Dragonlords. But other than that, I would not usually want to destroy my own Deathwing Dragonlord anyway, so I'm still gonna pass, and I'm gonna agree on the 1.
I wish I don't want to give a number. It's like between 1 and 3, so it's not 2. I don't want to give a number because I haven't looked into it properly, and I feel like there's a combo that I can't see. Like, I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. I don't want to give it. I'm just not going to. I haven't given it enough thought. This one I think is a very interesting card. I think that there's a lot like beneath it that you can look into. I think it's a lot better than it looks at first glance, but that's all I'm gonna say.
I think it could be better in the future, but like without wildly speculating of nuts cards they could create. I'm still gonna keep it at a 1. Okay, so next we have Arcane Tyrant. This is once again with the high cost spells kind of synergy. It's a 5 mana 4/4 elemental. It's an epic and it costs 0 if you've cast a spell that costs 5 or more this turn. So this is a kind of more obvious example of what we were kind of discussing with the grub, where if you know cast a board clear, let's say an expensive board clear, Flame Strike, Twisting Nether, you can play Arcane Tyrant for free. Also, obviously, if you ultimate Infestation into Arcane Tyrant, you can play it for free. But does that really make it worth putting using up a deck slot to put this in your deck?
I think the card is good.
I think the swing potential is good. I mean, even so, like now, like I'm just thinking immediately Druid. I mean, I don't know if it finds space in Jade Druid lists, but I mean, the turn where you nourish, and then you play this, it feels a lot better. You know, you really you're contesting the board. Now the question is whether it actually warrants a deck slot. You know, becomes sort of the big question. Like, obviously, you would want to play Nourish with this, but then it's a case of, do you keep this in your hand with Nourish? You know, and then what are you dropping in the core Jade Druid lists or Ramp Druid lists to run this?
Yeah.
You know, that's for me kind of the sort of the ambivalence that I'm feeling right now.
Yeah. I mean, to me, that's really all it is. It's just I can't find a deck slot for this. That's really just simply the biggest thing. Like, I agree, the turn you could play it, and you play your other spell, your Nourish, your Ultimate Infestation, your Flame Strike. If you can do that and play Arcane Tyrant the same turn, great. Especially if you're playing something like Nourish or Ultimate Infestation that's also drawing you cards. If you do go for the card draw on Nourish, then it's fine because it's refilling the slot that's just been opened in your hand. But a 4/4 is actually really weak right now. In particular, like 4 stats is not good. Because you can kill it with like Jade Lightning. Any minion that's buffed by Bone Mare will trade favorably into it. Just 4 is a bad number right now, I think, for health. So I actually just think a 4/4 is not enough incentive to put this in your deck.
Yeah, it's one of those cards where you kind of need it. It's a card that you need sort of too specifically at the right time. It will be great, but any other time it's just bad, right? It's just going to be a dead card sitting there rotting.
Yeah, I'm gonna call it a 1, which is I think a little bit harsh maybe, but I don't like it.
I'm gonna give it 2 for its potential. Right?
Okay,
That's for me what I'm going.
Okay, wait. A 2, but only for Elemental Mage. Basically, that's the niche application that it could see. Zemok?
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with you. I think it's a 1.
Okay.
I was at first I was like a little bit sold on like the Nourish thing, and then after thinking about it while you guys were talking, I'm like, it's actually not good.
Yeah.
Because it's just like in no way it's just not consistent enough, and like if it was a 4-cost spell, it would be so much better.
Yeah.
Like it would be just so much better. But 5 is just a little bit too difficult to get. Like there's only going to be 4 cards in the Druid deck, Nourish and UI. Like the Mage deck's only going to have like Firelands Portal and like Flame Strike Blizzard, like those kind of things. Like those are weird things, and it doesn't really fit in those decks.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it a 1. I don't think it's very good.
Yeah, I'm gonna go back to a 1 as well. I'm just bad. Next we have Shimmering Corsair. This is a 4-mana 3/3 beast. Only you can target it with spells and hero powers. So the way they showed this off was in the buff paladin idea, but honestly I just think 4 mana for a 3/3 stats is nowhere near good enough.
Bad.
So I would say this is a 1.
1 for me as well.
Man, it's better though than a 1, isn't it? Because like it can't die to enemy. Okay,
How
no, it's a
often
1.
do you use removal?
No, it's a 1.
Free
It's a 1.
trade?
It's a 1.
Yeah, so it's a 1. Next we have Void Ripper. This is a 3-mana 3/3 demon, and it is it's an epic as well. Has Battle Cry. Swap the attack and health of all other minions. So Confuse attached to a 3/3 body.
I see massive combo potential.
Yeah, I think, okay, in the one, we were talking a little bit about Master O card earlier. In that deck, I actually considered Void Ripper quite seriously. But then I realized it doesn't work with Master Oakheart because it's 3 attack. But other than that, it was quite nice for swapping the attack and health on a lot of the like big taunts. You know, your like Void Lords and cards like that. But overall, I'm not sold by it. I just think 3 for 3/3 isn't enough right now, especially with South Sea Captain running around. You know, that's bringing out a patches, so it's not just 3 mana for a 3/3.
I think it's a playable utility card. I think honestly, for me, I feel it falls a similar slot to like Crazed Alchemist.
Yeah.
Obviously, so I would put it as a 2, as in like a sort of a niche tech card that I feel it could find its place into very specific decks. It's not going to be, I think, a widespread tech card, but certain decks I believe will want it. So for me, it's a 2.
If that stupid totem shaman becomes a thing, then this is good.
Yes, it does clear totems quite well. That is a pretty funny application. I do agree that it could definitely be a kind of a tech card. So you know, I hesitate to really call tech cards niche cards, but I think I'd also put it as a 2. I think it could also be useful in something like a zoo, like a Keleseth zoo, where you do sometimes have a lot more high health minions as well, like your 1/3s and stuff like that. Uh, anyway, moving on, we have Rummaging Kobold. This is a 3 mana 1/3 epic minion. Battle Cry, return one of your destroyed weapons to your hand. So obviously this is kind of meant to help decks with the legendary weapons for the classes. I'm not sure that I'd really play this as a 3 mana 1/3. Once again, taking up a deck slot, it seems awkward. It does have infinite potential with Kingsbane, though. I just realized you can fill your deck with Kingsbanes. And
Yeah, 3
theoretically,
mana 1/3.
that's pretty bad though.
Pretty terrible stats. And
You know what is
not
also
really-
infinite value? Tentacle arms. Tentacle.
Yeah, I know.
Oh,
I was just saying that's a meme. You can fill your deck with Kingsbanes.
But like, I think this is a 1 for me. I really don't think we need to talk much about it. I don't know about you. I don't know if you want to talk more about it, but I don't.
No. I think it's terrible.
Yeah, I think it's a 1.
I will end it at that.
Okay, so we're going with a 1 on that one. Next we have Hungry Etten, the first of our rares. It's a 6 mana 4/10 with Taunt, and it has Battle Cry. Summon a random 2-cost minion for your opponent, aka a Doomsayer.
I think it's good.
Yeah, summon a
think
Doomsayer for your
good.
opponents. I would definitely love doing that.
I just think it's good. It's like, I mean, how bad is it? It's 4/10. That's really big.
Yeah.
And 2-cost minions aren't like. they're
More
not
House
great.
is the biggest one, right? Like, More House is the biggest 2-drop you want to worry about.
Yeah.
And so even if you low
Well, I
roll,
mean,
it's still 6 mana for a 4/6 taunt.
Doomsayer
Well,
is kind
no,
of
'cause
bad
it's-
because you just spent 6 mana, but
No, like, but you don't want to.
I'm just-
It's 6 mana to clear your opponent's board. Maybe that's a good thing. But it's also like you don't really want to summon a loot order for your opponent or like a Thalnos. But those are very like small things. I think the card is actually quite good. I think it is actually. I almost want to go to 4. Like I think it's
Ooh.
really good.
I
I
really
wouldn't-
don't. I don't see a deck for it. That's really
Yes.
what sticks out to me. I just don't see it better than many of the options that the classes have in those kind of slots. So for me, it's more of a 3. I agree that it could have value going forward, but I think that you guys might be underestimating the effect that just giving your opponent a minion has, especially right now with Bone Mare, as popular as it is. You play Hungry Etten into their Bone Mare turn. That's a massive problem. You're not giving them a 2-drop, you're giving them a Bone Mare target. So
Yeah,
I
mean, that's a
think
good
Bone Mare
consideration.
alone makes Hungry Etten more of a 2 right now, and Bone Mare and Hungry Etten will always be in the same standard rotation
Oh, I want to change my number. I want to give it a 1.
because of Bone Mare.
No, just because like, okay, let's say your average 2-drop is a 2/2. Let's just say that. So it's 6 mana for like a 2. Not okay. It's not 2,
4/8.
but it's like a 4/8.
Yeah.
6 mana for a 4/8 then.
I wouldn't play that.
And Ancient Blossom is 6 mana for a 3/8.
Yeah.
And that card is bad. So I want to give it a 1 now.
I don't know. I still think it's a 3 because I think it's quite. I think it's decent.
Ooh,
I still think
no.
it's decent enough to stop. I think it's enough to stop Stonewall and brick a board enough. I think it's still enough to slow a board, but I don't know if there's a deck for it yet.
I don't
so
think you can quite compare it to a 6 mana 3/8 taunt because I think the extra health point makes a big, that extra attack point makes a big difference.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's particularly good. I kind of want to say 2 because I feel like it's between 1 and 3, but it's not, also at the same time it's not a niche card. So for now, I'm just gonna say it's trash because of Bone Mare.
I think it's either a 4 or 1 for me, but I'm
I,
gonna say
I think it's a 1 because of Bone Mare.
Okay,
Next,
so
Furbolg Mossbinder. 5 mana 1/1, Battle Cry, transform a friendly minion into a 6/6 elemental. So another great low roll for your evolve effects or your spiteful summoner.
so it's worse than is it Big Time Rocketeer?
Yeah, it's 6.
Okay.
Well, that's a 6 mana 1/1 that summons a 6/6. Which
Yeah,
is on
I just want
average
to because
worse.
this can heal a minion. Actually, it can be good on like totems, but the issue is you're always gonna have to have something on board, and unless it's
Yes.
really close to dying, it's very very conditional kind of thing. So you can't say that it's 5 mana for a 7/7 because
No.
it's not true. You had to have spent the mana to get the other thing. The ideal targets are either going to be very damaged things, which is difficult to like create or maneuver to, or very small things such as a 1-drop, and that's still 1 mana. So then you're going to be paying 6 mana for 7/7. I just don't think the card's very good.
No.
like
Um,
Silverhand recruits
I,
and things.
we can currently pay 5 mana for an 8/8. I'd like to point out. So
yeah,
why would I ever play
Yeah,
this
I
for stats
currently would give
reasons?
this a
No.
1.
Yeah, 1.
yeah, same.
I'd give it a
See,
1/1.
and especially the fact that it has to be a friendly minion. Like, I would honestly say there would be some random niche applications if it was, like a Tickmaster effect of transform a minion into a 6/6, right?
As soon as I hear Tickmaster, I just don't want to.
No, I'm saying there would be some fringe applications
Yeah,
of it.
sure,
if
sure,
it
I know
did
what you
so.
mean. I know what you mean.
Sure, as a terrible polymorph effect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Neutral.
Okay, moving on.
Moving on. It's a 1. Next we have Evan Dragonsmith. This is a 4 mana 3/4 dragon. It's a rare battle cry. Reduce the cost of a random weapon in your hand by 2. I was like, what? This is just a card for a few classes. And then I was like, wait, oh, they did give every class a weapon now. But the question is, I mean, would you really ever play a 4 mana 3/4 just to play any of the weapons earlier? And quite honestly, I'm not sold by many of the weapons. So I think Ebon Dragonsmith is probably just a 2. Maybe it sees play in some very particular classes, especially because of it being a dragon. But mostly, I don't think it's going to be any good.
I haven't looked into the weapons. Context for anybody listening, I haven't really been playing Hearthstone and been looking at the new expansion. It's too much. So I haven't looked at any of the weapons really yet. So properly. I mean, I've browsed over them like very briefly. I think if there's a really good weapon, maybe, and if there's a weapon that initiates some sort of combo, then it could be very good. Like what comes to mind is the priest weapon kind of thing, because then you're playing 1 mana and you can almost immediately, like if the priest weapon only costs 1 mana, you can almost immediately get an effect with it. Maybe, you know what I mean? Like it's 1 mana and then like another 3 1-mana spells. That's only 4 mana. That's
priest, priest is the deck that it immediately sticks out, and because it's also a dragon as well,
and even like a tempo paladin, paladin weapons. I'm not even thinking of the big ones. I'm just thinking like the lights just a True Silver Champion and Riding Blade even, and the new paladin weapon maybe. Those aren't terrible. So I'm thinking less big combo-y things, although and more the smaller weapons like the priest weapon and the paladin weapons. I want to give it like a 3 even. Yeah, I'm gonna give it a 3. I think it's quite good.
Pandemonium?
Like for me, this reminds me of that pirate, that 2/5, which I think also was it reduced it by 1 or 2?
Reduced it by 2. It was in your hand, and that was only when it was in battle. That was when it was basically alive on the battlefield, which makes a big difference versus this, which is.
And it was a 4 mana 2/5.
Yeah.
Which is worse than a 3/4, I think.
No, what's that? 5 mana? I don't know. Anyway.
Depending how often this gets it on curve, because obviously a 4 mana 3/4 is not great stats. So
it's a dragon.
It's not terrible. So I see it being a 3, because I see it is. I mean, it's gonna be tried out for a while, and then people are gonna then decide, is a 4 mana 3/4, with obviously the upside, is it worth it in the slots? I mean, many classes, their 4-drops, there are a lot of powerful 4-drops.
I don't know if Dragon Priest is going to be a thing, because I don't know, but I
think it will, but I don't think the weapon has anything to do with Dragon Priest. That's
maybe this goes in that. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe a one-off and the weapon.
I don't think that Dragon Priest has anything to do with the weapon. Like, there's absolutely no Dragon synergy with the weapon except Dragonfire Potion, which you don't have to play in Dragon Priest anyway. Okay, so yeah, I think to me, once again, it's just the definition of it too. Like, it's niche, it'll find maybe some applications, but for the most parts, it's going to be really bad. So, like, to me, that's just the
What was
definition
your
of
example
it
for
too,
3?
niche. Like Valen or Captain Greenskin. Like, eventually they might see play in some particular decks. Like,
No, let's stick with 3.
okay. Yeah, okay. So next we have Kobold Monk. Kobold Monk is a 4 mana 3/6 4 mana 3/6 rare, sorry. Your hero can't be targeted by spells or hero powers. So I kind of look at this and it's like, okay, it eats a fireball against Freeze Mage. It makes Razak's Priest have to kill it, but they can just
It
pain
has
it.
like a Loatheb effect in a way.
It kind of does, and I think, honestly, I think this is a card that could easily be quite underrated, and something that I think will largely depend on the meta, but I'm not sold that it's a good card, more that it's a maybe occasionally a tech card. Like, I'm kind of
And the
leaning towards
stats aren't
3
bad.
because I don't really know where to put it.
Yeah, it strikes me definitely as a tech card, but also on the bright side, a 4 mana 3/6 is pretty solid stats.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
So if you're just playing a 4 mana 3/6, even if you absolutely get 0 value out of the actual text, I still think you're not too sad. It contests the board pretty well. The high health allows it. So I think this is a decent card as 4. I mean a 3, because I think also it's a kind of card that, and obviously the times where it does get that value from its text are obviously going to be quite amusing because your opponent's going to be like wondering, they're going to have forgotten about it and wondering why they can't fireball your face.
Yeah. I think it definitely has some applications. I just think you'll never play it as a 4 mana 3/6 if the text doesn't have some importance in the meta.
Yeah, obviously,
So,
you're not likely to play in a vanilla. Yeah.
Okay. So next we have Lone Champion. Lone Champion is a 3 mana 2/4 rare minion, Battle Cry. If you control no other minions, gain Taunt and Divine Shield. I think this is pretty good. A lot of the control decks I built kind of actually had it in. I think in a lot of cases it's slightly better than Tar Creeper because you still have the 2 attack initiative in your turn. And the Divine Shield can generally do more than protect 1 health bare minimum. So overall, I like Lone Champion. I'm going to give it a 4.
Yeah, I'm for very similar reasons. I really just think, as a control player, this is kind of the card you want. You don't play a lot of early minions. I mean, for example, it's like turn 2, let's say you play a Doomsayer, and let's say they do somehow kill the Doomsayer. This, once again, eats quite a lot of damage and potentially clears the board. So it's just a nice roadblock.
Yeah, it's a very good card. I want to give it a 4, but like I'm hesitant. I'm scared to give 4s, even though I wanted to give Hungry.
Commitment issues.
Okay,
So
well,
commitment issues.
yeah. Zaymok,
It's like a
really...
4 or 3. It's a good card. It's a good card. There's no. You guys have said enough. Like on it,
Yeah.
it's a good card.
Okay, Shrieking Shroom, 3 mana 1/2 rare. At the end of your turn, summon a random 1 cost minion. No, thank
That's
you.
the prize for the best name.
The stats suck. It is a 1 for me. Why has it got the best name?
Shrieking Shroom.
I mean,
funny.
like, it's alliteration and assonance kind of at the same time.
Oh.
Is it assonance? I don't know.
No, it's not
Whatever.
assonant.
Whatever, dude. It's been too long since I did English.
I wrote an English exam a few weeks ago. I know what assonance is.
Okay, good. Yeah, assonance is usually vowel sounds, but I was thinking like the like, I don't know what that sound is. That's not a vowel sound.
You're right.
Because it's more than just the S. It's not the S sound. It's the sh sound.
It's not important. That's
Anyway,
what it is.
yeah, it's not important, but
It's a 1 for me as well. What does it do? Like you play it and then it summons a 1/1, and then you've got a 2/3 for 3 mana.
yeah, you got worse than a Razorfen Hunter.
I would rather play the 2 mana 0/3 that summons Murlocs for Shaman.
Yeah, well, yes.
Something totem.
But that's not neutral. But I mean, if we compare it to
but you
Razorfen
get what I'm
Hunter, which
saying.
gives you a 1/1 and it's a 2/3 body, it's also just worse than that.
I'm just saying that's like a better card.
Yeah. Okay, so 1.
Or-
Pandemonia, 1, agreed?
Yeah.
Okay,
Next.
cool. Scorpomatic. Scorpomatic is a 2 mana 1/2 mech. Ooh, mech synergy. It is a rare, has battle cry, destroy a minion with one or less attack. I think its target of use is way too small. The best target to possibly hit is probably Doomsayer
Wait,
with
what card are you on?
Scorpomatic. It's a 2 mana 1/2 mech with battle cry, destroy a minion with one or less attack.
I've never seen it. It's not on Disguised Twist website.
Oh, failure from him. I'll link it to you quickly, but
So
in the
I
meantime, Pandemonia.
I would say 2. I think there will be some random occasion, some random fringe occasion. I can't. I mean, Doom says 1 target. I mean, I'm not
But
like off
Crazy
the top of my head.
Alchemist.
I'm just. Yeah, you could Crazy Alchemist, but I think there are some other. Yeah, most of the times Crazy Alchemist is probably just gonna be better. So this is definitely a low 2.
I think it's a 1. It's a 2
I
mana
can't
1/2.
even find it.
It's a 2 mana 1/2.
Yeah, which is obviously quite bad.
Okay, so
I
moving
will
on.
give you my opinion in a moment.
Okay, well, you can
Let's
give
move-
us your
moving
opinion,
on.
but I'm pretty sure it's a 1. We don't really need to.
Oh, I found it. Destroy a minion with 1 attack, with 1 or less attack. Isn't it quite good in the early game?
Nah, I don't know about that.
It could
Like,
swing
it-
the board
It
sufficiently.
kills Firefly maybe, but like you paying 2 mana for that, I don't know if that's worth it. I think it's just I think the amount of turns you can use it are too slim. Anyway,
Killing a Void Walker is obviously decent as well. But yeah, moving
okay,
on.
against Zoo it has targets. Yeah. Okay. Gravel Stout Knight, 1 mana 2/3 battle cry. Summon a random 1-cost minion for your opponent. So the best meme here is summoning a Gravel Stout Knight for your opponent.
Yeah. I think it's a 1. I mean, as much as I love 1 mana 2/3s, I think this drawback, a 1-cost minion is basically what a 1/1 or a 2/1 a lot of the times.
Yeah.
So you basically you're paying 1 mana for a 2/2 or 2, well, for 1/2 or 2/1. So I really don't think and the fact that it's a battle card obviously means your opponent gets the first hit with the minion.
Yep.
So yeah, I really don't like it.
Yeah.
I think it's.
I think it's a.
Oh yeah.
I think. Okay, yeah, go on. I'm still trying to decide my rating.
I think it might be a 2, just because. It makes your opponent's turns a little bit awkward. Like it does deal with 2-drops. Yeah, it can trade up, like with relative ease. I think that's one of the nice things. By the way, there's a lot of other playable 1-drops don't trade up, like your Firefly, Argent Squire, Righteous Protector. Those are one attack minions, and this can trade into 2-drops.
Okay.
I think it's okay. I'm gonna give it a 2.
I think best case, ignoring buffs, it trades into the minion that it summons, and it's left at 2/2. Let's say the minion you gave them was 1 attack. Worst case scenario, your opponent can use that minion to trade into yours. They can give it poisonous, they can buff it. So I think against a lot of decks, it's really bad. And obviously, it will slightly depend on the meta, but I kind of think it's more of a 1 than a 2. But just because I like 2 for niche cards, and I don't even see this being a niche card. I see it being mostly just bad. Okay, so Feral Gibberer. This is a card we saw. It is a cute or scary card, depending on your opinion. That's the real important part about it, because it's a 1 mana 1/1 that after this minion attacks a hero, add a copy of it to your hand. So you need your 1/1 to it needs to go on the board and then attack a hero, and then you get a 1/1 in your hand. I'm not sold on that. I don't really want that. I'd just rather play Firefly and always get 2 1/2s.
Yep.
So
that's
a 1 for me.
1 mana. I mean, it's a 1 for me, and
Yeah,
just
it's
a
So
pure
1/1 and it gets 1.
One,
Yep.
yeah, and it costs 1, so that's
Yeah.
1s all around. Sleep E Dragon. It's a 9 mana 4/2 dragon with taunt. So
Or 12.
Hey, look on
sorry,
this guy's
4/12.
website.
4/12. Yeah, 9 mana
He's
4/12
letting
dragon with I just read that one wrong. 4/12 dragon with taunt. So I don't think it's very good. I'd just rather have Primordial Drake in my deck 90% of the time for the scenarios where I draw this. Because if you draw this, you just rather have Primordial Drake.
So yeah. So okay. So obviously, in a competitive environment, I think this is a pretty terrible card. But just the point I want to make. So I mean, I'll probably give it a 1. But one thing I do want to note is I don't think it's actually that bad as a budget option for newer free-to-play players. As a, if you're missing a lot of the legendaries, I really don't think a 9-mana 4/12 taunt is actually that bad.
Yeah, if you want
It's
to play
annoying.
like big
It's
warrior.
really annoying.
That's what I'm saying. To get
4/12
through,
is so annoying.
Yeah.
obviously see a lot of answers, but I think for free-to-play players, I actually don't think it's that bad an option.
Sure. I can agree there. I also think it's a 1, but yeah, sure, it could have some use for free-to-play players. Zamok, your rating?
Oh, sorry, yeah, it's a 1. It's just, but it's an annoying. It's kind of like Bog Creeper. It's pretty similar to Bog Creeper.
I suppose, maybe. Okay, next we have Violent Worm. This is an 8-mana 7/7 beast, and it's a Death Rattle summon 7/1/1 grubs. Look, I think its stats look like great value, but I think summoning 7/1/1s that late in the game, they're going to find some way to deal with them more often than not. So unless you can follow it up with a Sunkeeper Tarium, I think Violent Worm is a 1.
Yeah, I also...
It's a great arena card, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
I mean, I
pretty
don't
good
know.
arena card, and also, once
good.
again, a decent free-to-play card, I think.
I don't even know if it's a decent free-to-play card, but because it's so understated for its cost, like the immediate loss on tempo on the board, I don't know if that's worth the 7/1/1s. Anyway, Silver Vanguard, it's a 7-mana 3/3 with Death Rattle, recruit an A-cost minion. No thank you. Even in the scenarios where you can get it, it's like you're getting that 8-cost minion on 8, so it's not even like ahead of the curve. All you're doing is just pulling it out of your deck, which is good, but not good enough to make Silver Vanguard good, so it's going to be a 1 for me.
I think it's better to 1.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a 1 as well. Just initially, I read it as a battle cry, and I thought it might be decent, but as a Death Rattle, I just think it's so bad. Bone Mare is just better.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so Guild Recruiter, 5-mana 2/4 battle cry, recruits a minion that costs 4 or less. I tried this in that Druid deck, the one where you're trying to recruit 4 or less cost things, but I would say at best it's niche, because it really only has maybe one actual use. Pandemonia, thoughts?
Sorry, I just blanked out there for a moment.
Guild Recruiter.
I'll give my thoughts.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
If you want.
Go ahead.
It's kind of like the same problem that all the other Druid cards have. It's like that 4 or less cost thing. Like, there are not very many good 4-cost cards that you want to pull from this. And it's like, it's not a card. A lot of the neutrals that we're about to discuss, like the common neutrals, they don't really deserve a lot of discussion, because I think that they're just very like basic cards, and some of them it's very obvious why they're bad. This is one of those cards where it's just like bad stats, and it's like you're summoning a 4-cost minion that probably also have subpar stats. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because like a lot of effects are tied to death rattles or battle cries, and it's just like not a great card.
I'm still gonna give it a 2. I think there could be a specific use for it, but other than that, it's gonna be pretty bad.
I'm gonna give it a 1.
Pandemonia?
Yeah, I think 2, because for me it's a potential sleeper, because the recruiting a 4-mana potentially could, like, there could be some, it could be the sleeper of the set, this recruit mechanic, especially
This
like a guy
card
like
is a sleeper.
It could be, but I'm gonna give it a 2. So yeah.
Okay. Fungalmancer, 5-mana 2/2. Battle Cry, give adjacent minions +2/+2. I think this requires too much. We've seen Bone Mare requires you to have 1 minion on the board, and it's not that impossible to play around. This requires you to have 2 minions on the board and to have the minions you want to buff next to each other. So I'm going to say it's a 1.
It's a 1 for me as well. It's terrible.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
Arena might be decent, but yeah,
No,
constructed 1.
I don't even think so.
We don't know anywhere near enough about Arena to really give reasonable Arena opinions, so I'm not even going to go there.
Except for the obvious ones like Violent Worm.
No, I don't even think. Anyway, Green Jelly, 5-mana 3/3. At the end of your turn, summon a 1/2 ooze with taunt. I believe when Pandemonia was first telling me about this card, he compared it to Sludge Belcher, and I was very confused. And then I looked and I was like, no, there's no way this in any way compares to Sludge Belcher. This is terrible. That is my opinion. 5-mana, 4/5 worth of stats. No, thank you. 1.
Yeah, 1.
Cool.
And
if anybody is wondering why it's not like Sludge Belcher, for starters, it's like a 4/5. and then the actual base body that you just need to kill is just a 3/3. It's very easy to deal with. Like
Yeah.
very just once you get through that 1/2, it's very easy to deal with this. It's a 1. There's no like there's no questions about it.
Okay, and next we have Trog Gloom Eater. It's a 5-mana 1/5 with Poisonous and Taunt. So I am not sold on this. I was, what's it called? The sludge thing, the 2-mana 1/2, the slug, whatever it's called.
That thing.
That one. That one.
That one.
Never really saw any play. I'm pretty sure people know what we're talking about. The other one that also has Taunt and Poisonous. I don't.
It's like a vanilla. It's like a very.
I don't think you'd pay more mana.
My name just went blank.
Yeah, I don't think you'd pay more mana for it. So I'm gonna give it a 1.
I'm gonna give it a 1 as well.
I'm gonna give it a 2 because I think it still presents a decent roadblock.
You think it'll see
I
play?
think is relevant. I think
it'll see play
potentially.
ever?
I really think it might, as it slows down. That 5 health has potential to tank quite a few minions.
2 maximum. It's only ever tanking 2 most.
Yeah, which I still think is enough to slow down, right?
Okay.
I think the only way to use it is summoning it with Oak Heart. But anyway, next we have Corrosive Sludge. This is a 5-mana 5/5. Destroy your opponent's weapon. So, a 5/5 for 5 that destroys weapons. So this is just worth
Another
playing
ooze.
Harrison.
Another Harrison.
Yeah, it's another ooze. But it
It's
doesn't
better.
really get
It's better in some ways.
It's better
but,
if they don't have weapons than Harrison.
Yeah, and the other thing is, so there's 2 points I want to make about this card. It's a little bit more interesting than some of the other cards. The first point is that cards that remove weapons are generally played as cards that you want that effect. So we saw Ooze played over Harrison sometimes because you want that just easy weapon removal effect. That's why Harrison isn't always the go-to weapon removal card. Sometimes it is Ooze.
Yeah.
Cards that have effects, you want the effect. You don't care about the body a lot of the time. We used to see Ironbeak Owl played over Spellbreaker because it wasn't about the body, it was about the effect. Similar thing with this card. I'd rather play Ooze over this a lot of the time.
100%.
In a very, very weapon-intense meta, maybe you fit in a Corrosive Sludge. It's a good body. It fits easily into a deck in a very, very weapon-intensive meta. I don't think we're going into that meta. I think Harrison is still a better card than this, but it's an interesting card. I'm going to give it a 2. I think it's interesting.
I don't see why I'd play this over the 2 other oozes, so I'm gonna give it a 1.
I'm gonna give it a 2 as well.
I can see the 1. I understand it, but I just see like there's a world where this is better.
Okay, speaking of 1s, we have a 1 health minion up next, Cursed Disciple. This is a 4-mana 5/1, Magma Rage's Kappa. But it has Death Rattle. It
The
also
4-mana 10
summons a
too.
5/1. Yeah, no.
Would you play that?
Okay, stats are bad. This is the kind of card that, much like Magma Rager, is meant to teach newer players why 1 health is bad. So it is going to get a 1.
It's a 1, yeah.
Yeah.
It's the perfect counter to the
distribution is
file.
horrible.
Oh wait.
Okay, no. It's a 1. Yeah, it's worse against the file. Next we have Hoarding Dragon. Hoarding Dragon is a 4-mana 5/6. With Death Rattle, give your opponent 2 coins. This is a card that I kind of found difficult to analyze, but I think giving 2 coins to your opponent more often than not is worse than the immediate stats that you get. So I think that Hoarding Dragon is a 1, not even a 2.
The tempo that you maybe gain, having slightly boosted stats, is completely lost when you give your opponent 2 coins. As long as they kill it within 2 turns.
Yeah, that's the thing. So I think, if you have
I'm giving it a 1.
I'm going to give it a 2 because I think there is some potential.
Did Hungry Dragon see play?
No, but Hungry Dragon is completely different because it immediately gives your opponent a 1-drop that can impact the board. The fact is that if you're so ahead on the board, killing this 5/6 is going to be very difficult. If you're snowballing this board in something like Zoo, something like Tempo Rogue, I feel that 2 coins might just be too late to do anything. You beat in their face, you just snowballing where the 2 coins eventually just do nothing. I think that's my view.
In Tempo Rogue, I'd 100% rather play Saronite Chain Gang than Hoarding Dragon any day of the week. That's what I'd have to say. Like,
yeah, I'm just saying decks like it. No, exactly.
I'm just saying like that's a big consideration for me. Next we have Shroom Brewer. This is a 4-mana 4/4 Battlecry, restore 4 health. Basically just a bigger Earthen Ring Farseer. Maybe it sees play if people really, really need the health gain, but overall I'm gonna say it's a 2.
I'm going to say it's a 3. I think 4-mana 4/4 with the Battle Cry, I think it's a solid effect. Whether there's actually decks that want it is highly debatable, but I think the card itself is perfectly okay.
Yeah, I also kind of want to give it a 4. Like there might be, I mean a 3. Sorry, there might like within. I think even just not necessarily this expansion, but by next expansion, I think that this card could see play. In the past we've seen niche heals see play like Cult Apothecary. No, not what is it? Is it Cult Apothecary the 5 mana 4/4?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah, something like that. Like when people really need heal, we saw kind of this frenzy for heal cards after anti-killbot moved out, and like 4/4 that restores 4/4 is like relatively good, and it's a relatively low cost. I think that this card could actually be quite good in a meta where people really need that heal and they struggle to find it. It's definitely better than Othering. Four health is better than 3, obviously. Um, and it's not that thing where you want the effect because the effect isn't the effect scales with the cost. So it's not like silence where it doesn't matter whether it's a
yeah.
2 cost or a 6 cost. The silence effect is the same. Here the effect scales. I think it's a 3 for
I
me at least. And
I think
I'm not saying that it'll see play this expansion, but I
yes,
think within
that's
the
fine.
next 2 or 3, it'll be prevalent.
Yeah, I'm not sold on it, but I can definitely buy the argument that maybe it could see play. I just think there's generally better heals, usually class specific heals, basically. Next we have Sneaky Devil. It's a 4 mana 2/2 demon stealth. Your other minions have +1 attack. So raid leader with stealth basically, and it costs 1 more. I am not sold at all. It just weakens random demon summoning cards like Bane of Doom basically. Uh, Sure, maybe Zoo could make some use of it because it's a stealth demon, but no. I'm gonna go with a 1 for Sneaky Devil.
Yeah, well, I think Raid Leader is probably better most of the times, and Raid Leader's not good.
I
So, or one.
one
What's raid leader?
Raid Leader's the 3 mana 2/2 with your other minions have 2 attack, +1 attack. I think this is better than Raid Leader, but that's not the point. Raid Leader's like a 0, so
Yeah,
what does
I
it
think
go?
this is pretty bad.
Okay. Next we have Boisterous Bard, 3 mana 3/2, Battle Cry, give your other minions +1 health. I think this is actually not so bad, because it's board wide effect, but I don't think 1 health is that
You need to
impactful.
give it to 3 minions for it to be fine.
Yeah, probably. So
Well, just
2
on
minions makes
pure
it decent,
value,
right?
right? You need to give it to 3 minions for it to actually be good,
yeah,
or for it to be better than average.
yeah, two
Yeah,
minions.
2
Two
minions.
minions. I wouldn't play it if I was only on average getting 2 minions, because I'd rather play a 3 mana 3/4, for example. Not that there's
Yeah,
many right
And
now, but yeah,
I think the fact that you want to kind of play this early, like I don't really want to give my Fireflies an extra health. I don't care about giving them health. I want to give Fireflies extra attack.
sure.
So I
yeah,
mean that's the example I'm kind of going with here. But like playing this on early drops, you don't really care too much like
Yeah,
about their health so much unless they're at 1 health. I just don't think the card's very good. I get your point of like it can be good, but it's I just don't think it is. I'm gonna
I,
give it a 1.
I agree. I can totally agree with it being a 1 there.
yeah.
Okay. Next we have Stoneskin Basilisk. It's a 3 mana 1/1 beast, Divine Shield and Poisonous. So much like Hungry Wasp, except it loses some stats and it gains Divine Shield. Personally, I think Stealth so this has Divine Shield, whereas Hungry Wasp has no
Yeah,
Giant
I think
Wasp.
Stealth is better.
Giant Wasp has Stealth. And I just think the Stealth is better, so I'm gonna give Stoneskin Basilisk a 1. We only really see the Wasp ever seeing play in Razag's Priest.
I think it's 2 because it has, like, once again, I think it has potential niche in the future. Just that Divine Shield also just makes it that much difficult. Makes it, some heroes it makes it a bit more awkward to kill, I think.
Yeah, you can summon this, the Wasp, and some other random thing with that legend.
There is a 3 attack Poisonous, but wouldn't you rather summon the 1/5 with Taunt and Poisonous? Anyway, and we gave that one a 1, so yeah. Next we have Sewer Crawler. It's a 3 mana 1/1 Battle Cry summon a 2/3 Giant Rat. So reverse Razor Fen Hunter. Razor Fen Hunter is not playable. This is a 1.
Yeah, 1.
Cool. Next we have Kobold Apprentice. I don't think we need a rating from Zamark on that last card. His face says it all. And next we have Kobold Apprentice, 3 mana 2/1, Battle Cry, deal 3 damage, randomly splits amongst minions. So the way I looked at this, this is like a Arcane Missiles, but it's way overcosted. If it was 2 mana and it did the
Yeah, it would
effect,
be good.
it would
It would
be
be
it
very
would be
good.
good for like Zoo and stuff. But then I
Very good.
realized it was 3 mana, and now I'm not paying the 1 mana for Arcane Missiles and paying 2 mana for a 2/1 essentially, so it's a 1.
Yeah, that's a
Yep.
1.
Yeah, 1 for me as well.
Overcosted by 1 mana and therefore
Ooh,
rated 1.
interesting card coming up. Interesting card coming up.
Nice sarcasm. We have Dragon Slayer coming up next. 3 mana, 4/3.
This is
With
interesting.
Battle Cry, deals 6 damage to a dragon. So, their classical tech card, this time for dragons. It's Dragon Eater, or Dragon Crab. But the difference here with
Dragon Hate card.
the difference here with the crabs, and honestly a slight design improvement over the crabs, is that it isn't gaining stats based on hitting the crabs, so it's not as big a tempo swing, and it's better on general average than some of those cards. I mean, Galaka Crawler is probably equivalent on average and also has the beast tag, but I think Dragon Slayer, it's not as big a tempo swing when it kills because it isn't then overstatted as well as removing stats from the board.
It's reminiscent of BGH in a way.
Yeah, that is
Like, in a way.
a somewhat fair comparison. I think it's definitely going to be a 2. I would say a 2 at the moment, mostly just because it's possibly a tech card sometimes. But
well, I don't know how good dragons are. So okay, I'll give it a 2, and if dragons are good, then it's a 3.
I don't think it makes sense against dragon decks because I think the only dragon deck will be Dragon Priest, which is more of a control dragon deck than a tempo dragon deck. So I don't think dragons.
No, but it's good against like Kobold Scalebane. Like it's a huge swing against Kobold Scalebane.
That's true. I suppose it is an answer to Scalebane. That's the one big target for it in the current.
I'm 2 leaning on 3 with this.
I'm still going to say 2 because I feel like that's also maybe where the kind of tech cards fit in. Next we have Toothy Chest. This is a 3 mana 0/4 common minion. At the start of your turn, set this minion's attack to 4. Basically smaller validated Doomsayer. Nice odds and it's funny, but it's a 1.
Yeah.
1 for me.
Yep, which is 1 more than it has attack.
I'd rather just play Halvdia, the Frost Rider most of the time.
Yeah, the 3 mana 4/4.
I wanted the 3 mana 4/4, yeah.
Okay, next we have Fungal Enchanter, 3 mana 3/3, Battle Cry, restore 2 health to all friendly characters. So I think this is almost like a better version of the thing that buffs your minions, in the sense that this can allow your minions to trade, and later in the game it's also at least restoring your health. I thought about trying it in maybe like a zoo, because it kind of gives you the extra health that it costs you for a tap, but overall I don't think it's particularly good, so I'm going to go with maybe a 2.
I'm giving it a 1. It's just not going to see play. That's why.
I agree. It probably won't see play.
Yeah, but once again,
Like,
I think it's a budget choice. But yeah, I don't think it's very good.
I almost want to do like a speed review where I just review all the cards in like 10 minutes. Like total time, and I'm just like, we'll see play, won't see play, kind of thing. You know what I mean? And just see.
Okay.
Because I think that's also
that's a pointless discussion to have right now. Moving on to Plated Beetle.
No, I'm just saying that's why I'm giving this a 1 though, because I feel like I'm kind of using logic.
Plated Beetle is a 2 mana 2/3 beast. It has Death Rattle, gain 3 armor, and it's a common. So, I mean, Pandemonia, I'm sure you like this armor. That screams warrior. But really, do you want to play a 2 mana 2/3 on your warrior?
I mean, yeah, I really don't mind. I think a 2 mana 2/3 is decent for fighting for the board. And the gaining 3 armor, I think, just helps that extra bit to store against if foster aggro decks are do become a problem. I really think it's a fine card. I think immediately this gets more. I mean, this I think kills a lot more things faster than Armorsmith. The 2 attack I think is relevant. So for me, I really feel like this is a 3.
I think this is better in the early game than Armorsmith and worse in the late game because you don't have the big armor gain potential. But in the early game, it does fight for the board better, which is going to still net you more armor in the long term. And I think with some of the warrior cards we've seen, I do actually think Plated Beetle might be decent, but it's only a warrior card basically. So I'm going to give it a 2 because of that.
I mean,
okay, maybe druids could play it for the upgrading the spellstone. Yeah, upgrading the spellstone. But overall, I'm going to give it a 2 because I think it's niche, not because it's not playable. Okay, so what are your guys' actual ratings for it though? Pandemonia gave me a 3. Yeah, and Zaymok?
I'm going to give it a 1.
Okay. Next we have Wax Elemental. It's a 1 mana 0/2 elemental with Taunt and Divine Shield. It is 0 attack, so unless you go
to 0 for me.
Unless you go to massive lengths to buff it up with Keleseth or something ridiculous, or try and play it in Buff Paladin, and there's so many better things you could play in Buff Paladin, so it's going to be a 1 for me.
Yeah, also a 1. Like, it's a card I would like to see be good, but yeah, as the 0 attack means it does nothing.
I really want Wax Elemental to be something. Something that I hope is the thing.
No. Okay, and the final card we have for the neutrals here is Dire Mole. This is a 1 mana 1/3 beast. I think this is actually quite an interesting card to end on. I feel like once some cards maybe rotate out of Hunter, it could be playable in Hunter.
I think it's basically a hunter card. That's my view on it.
I think it also once if you still want to push Beast Druid past the Enchanted Raven rotating out, so when Karazhan rotates out, it could
I
be
guess
playable
so.
for that. Like Diamol into Mark of Charge would be good, but the problem
Mark
is
of the
Mark of Charge
Charge. Oh,
rotates. I
that's
know it rotates at the same time as
yeah.
Enchanted Raven, so that's the problem
Yeah.
there.
So
But I'm
most of it
saying
is
if
I
they
said as a
if
hunter
they
card.
had new Beast Synergy cards for
Oh god,
Druid,
don't give Blizzard ideas. They've been
I
trying to push
think
Beast Druid for ages.
it's one of the better
Stop
one
now.
drops, but it's not good.
yes,
Yeah, I think it's a 2 for me. Like,
yeah.
because
So
I do foresee it seeing play in Hunter because of its like its early board presence and its ability to compete.
I'm gonna give
maybe
it a
maybe a,
3 because I feel like it might have future potential, not because
it's so good into the 2/3 that gives Enchanted Raven. No,
no
Ravenclaw. Raven.
Crackling Razor more.
Crackling Razor more, the 3/2.
That's. I have not played Hearthstone in ages, but that's the card.
I know. I really do think it might be a 3. That it does have potential, but I'm not sure right now if it's going to be any good. And it is a good option for budget players if that is something we're considering. But that does bring
Yes.
us to the end of this review of the neutrals. It turned out to be quite a lengthy one, but it kind of always is with 3 people and 45 cards. So thanks a lot for tuning in. And if you want to find out more about the rest of the views we're going to have for each of the classes with deck lists as well. A bunch of them are already up on the YouTube channel, so subscribe there if you want to find out more. You can also find us on Twitter. You can find Zamok at Zamok_HS, Pandemonia at PandemoniaZA, and myself at Dib_gaming. You can you can tweet at us there to find if you want to ask us any specific questions about cards. And also please follow the Twitch channel. And if you're listening to this before Saturday the 9th, there is a giveaway happening as well for 15 Kobolds and Catacombs packs. So check out my Twitter to find out more info on that giveaway as well. So thanks a lot for watching, and see you next time. Cheers.